In this video, I'll be showing you how to put your kitchen into the demo apartment in Revit. Though you don't have to follow my exact location and layout, the methods I'm showing you have been learned through a lot of trial and error. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to establish where are some of the main features of my kitchen going to be. This helps me to decide where cabinets need to be and what needs to be there in order to connect them. I'm going to go ahead and put my stove somewhere along this wall, maybe centered, maybe a little bit more towards the stub wall. I'm going to put the refrigerator in the opposite corner. I'm going to run the sink along this wall because, again, this is an exterior wall, so I can put a window above it, which is often very nice. And next to the sink, so it's convenient for washing dishes, I'll put the dishwasher next to it. So I have some rough layout there. And I'll probably have a little eat-in table and chairs as a little dining area within the kitchen. So with that decided, I'm going to go ahead and start with some of the major components. So as I click component, the first one that I'm going to go find is the stove oven. Okay, this is called a range for those, so you're familiar with the right terms. And that is the unit that has the stove on top and the oven box underneath. When you look at the symbol, it's got two lines close to each other. That is that back control panel, and that's the part that needs to be against the wall. Not into the wall, but against it. Zooming in will help you to make sure that you put it right against the wall. Now, I may slide this to fit cabinets on either side, a little bit side to side, but that's a good approximate location. In the bottom corner here, I'm going to put the refrigerator. So as I add component, drop down and go to refrigerator, I've got several options. I've got 3 different sizes, and they all come in left handle and right handle configurations. Okay, LH standing for left handle, meaning the handle is on the left side of the door, the hinges are on the right side. Okay, right handle meaning right side of the door has handles, hinges on the left side. So since I want it to go in this corner and open this way, that puts the handle on the left, the hinges on the right. So I'm going to pick a left handle, mid-sized refrigerator. When I first come in, it's just a box. So I'm going to go ahead and set the box in the corner. Once I set the box in the corner, I'm going to make sure I have my 3D view opened up. And I'm going to go ahead and pan myself around so I can see my refrigerator. As you can see, it's not a very effective refrigerator because the doors are pushed up against the wall. It seems like you do have to set the refrigerator down in order to get some indication of what's the front and what's the back. When I click on the refrigerator now, you'll see this line that wasn't here before. Okay, this is the back edge line, meaning refrigerators are designed to have a little bit of space behind them until they touch the wall. So this is the line that needs to go on the wall. I can rotate this by pushing the space bar now, which puts the line out. So this is backwards, the wrong way, and now the line is in. But unfortunately, the line is in the wall. So I'm going to move this out. Doing this over wood floor makes it a little more complicated, but I should then be able to grab this end point and put that right against the wall. The refrigerator I chose will stick out more than the countertop will, but that's just the model I chose. After making those changes, I can go back to my 3D view and see that the refrigerator is now pointed in the right direction. As I look at this, I'm going to put the sink somewhere in this area, and I'm going to have the dishwasher right next to it. I'm not going to add those yet because those spacings are going to depend a lot more on where my cabinets end up. So now I'm going to start building out the base cabinets. The first thing you need to do is decide how are you going to handle this corner. Okay, we have L-shaped countertops, but there are 2 options. The first option, when I go up to the base counters or base cabinets, is to take 2 base cabinets, put one, and I know I'm overlapping, about there, spin the other one, and put it like this, where the corners touch. I have an L-shaped cabinet that will make, or an L-shaped countertop that will make that work, but I don't have access to the storage back here. I'm going to do a different setup in that, I'm going to push component, and above all the base cabinets is this one that's called a corner unit angled. This one complicates things somewhat, but it's worth using in this example. I'm going to zoom in and very carefully set this so that the line is right on the edge of the walls and not inside. You may get this weird visual glitch momentarily, but you can see the line is right against it. It's very important that this first cabinet is placed correctly, because I'm going to line the rest of my cabinets up based on this corner and that corner going in both directions. My first step now is I'm going to build out this side. So I'm going to move the stove over a little further than I know I'm going to want to put a cabinet in here to give this a little bit of space. I don't want the oven right in the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and go to component. And as I look at my base cabinets, I have a lot of options in my double door cabinets, but these are quite wide units, anywhere from 2.5 to 4 feet. I have a single door option that's just below that gives me everything from 12 inches up to 24 inches, well, 1 foot to 2 feet. I'm going to go ahead and pick the narrowest one. When you bring these base cabinets in, your cursor, your mouse is attached to the back edge. Okay, so I'm going to put the back edge there and line those two corners up. I'm then going to grab the stove, oven, range, whichever term you want to use, and move this back in so that it is right against the cabinet. You can even see the cabinet kind of light up and turn gray. Now, I could just start bringing base cabinets in and guessing what would fit in this space, or I can measure it. Up here next to the printer tool is the measure tool. This allows me to measure between that surface and this edge right here, which is right about 3 feet. It's 3 feet and 1/2 inch. As I look at my components and I look at my double door base cabinets, I have a 36-inch or 3 feet wide cabinet. So as I click on that, I should be able to put this cabinet right here next to my stove. That finishes out that area. Again, to add a little bit of spacing to make sure my sink doesn't end up directly in the corner, I'm going to go to components, come down here to the 12-inch base cabinet, rotate it around. Remember, my little plus sign cursor is the back edge, and I'm going to put this in right lined up with the cabinet. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a cabinet that is the widest cabinet we have, and that is the 48-inch cabinet. This is the cabinet you want to use where you want to put your sink. I'm going to line that up here. That's where I want to put my sink, because the double bowl sinks that most kitchens use are quite wide, so we want to have a very large cabinet there to have plenty of space for it. I want to then put my dishwasher in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick the dishwasher that has whole numbers, where all of them are whole numbers. This seems to fit in the best with our base cabinets. I'm going to rotate this around so that the door, which is shown by the double line, is to the outside and lines up flat with the front of my cabinets. This is a very nice look. It's a very common look. Again, I'm left with a small space, large enough for a cabinet, but I'm not sure which one. So I'm going to go ahead and click the measure tool, and I'm going to measure down, and I get 1 foot 4 inches and 3/8 of an inch, or that would basically be 16 3/8 of an inch. Pretty sure I don't have a cabinet that is exactly 16 3/8 of an inch wide. So as I look at my base, go back to my base cabinets, I have 15 and I have 18. I'm going to have to go with the 15-inch cabinet here. That is the widest cabinet that'll fit. So I'm going to line this up and drop the cabinet there. You'll notice there's a small gap between the refrigerator and the cabinet, which is actually quite common. If it was a 3 or 4-inch gap, the people doing this kitchen would likely put in some sort of filler panel. with a gap this small, they would likely just leave it. It allows for the fact that different models of refrigerators, even when they're marked the same width, seem to have a little bit of variation. You'd be able to replace this refrigerator fairly easily when it goes out. The next thing it's time to do is add the countertops. This gives me a unique issue on the countertops in that when I add the countertops, I'm going to have to go to Load Family, and in the US Imperial folder, under Casework is countertops. You have two L-shaped options. You have the regular L-shaped one with the sinkhole, which this is what you would do if you just did two rectangular cabinets touching in the corner, and you wanted the sinkhole to be able to move it around. You have regular L-shaped if that's not where your sink goes. You also have a L-shaped 2. This is the one that has that corner cabinet feature. You also have it with the sinkhole. Now, the last time I used this symbol, the sinkhole did not cooperate. So we're going to go ahead and try to reload it. And if that doesn't work, I will very quickly switch and show you a way to work around it. So as we bring in, it didn't want to load. One more time. Load model. Countertop shaped with sinkhole. Open. And I think it's not wanting to load because I have already loaded it. So let's go ahead and pick this one again. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to hit the space bar till I rotate it around close to what I want. And then I will place this in the corner. As I place this, I know that one edge is too short, the other edge is too long, and the sinkhole is in the incorrect spot. So I'm going to click this, and it gives me handles to change these various things. So as I click these little front and back arrows, I can change where this countertop goes. Now I'm getting it really close. The wood floor kind of messes with it because it wants to jump to a spot that's closest. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in more and make it so that the countertop ends right where that ends. In this direction, I can now grab these and bring this to the very end of this area. Now this is where I had trouble with this particular model before, but we'll give it a shot. When I click on this, I should be able to move. Nope. See, this one does not let me move this hole, which is a problem. So I'm going to delete that. Here's what I'm going to do instead. This is the workaround. When I add a component, the component that I'm going to load is the regular L-shaped 2. This does not have a sinkhole in it. I'm going to still pivot it around and place it in the corner. Once I've placed it, I'm also still going to put this where the stove ends. I'm going to bring this leg up and have it end right where this countertop changes shape. Right there. The reason I'm going to do that is I'm going to actually bring in the straight counter. So component, load model, load family, sorry. Countertop with sinkhole. This is a straight countertop with an adjustable sinkhole. I'm going to pivot this around, and I'm going to place it so it lines up with the edge of the countertop. I can tell that because the countertop should light up and give me the indication that it's there. I may have to come back and adjust this later. But as you can see, what was missing on the previous one were these handles to adjust not only the location of the sinkhole, but also the size. I'm going to do this first because sometimes adjusting these measurements seems to affect the ends of the countertop. So I'm going to adjust the sinkhole first. I'm going to adjust all of these so that it's about this big. There's a few inches around. I can come back and fine tune those. But what I can also do now is make sure that this extends only to the edge of where the countertop ends there, that joint that I've selected, and that this here extends all the way down. There we go. This will now allow me to place the sink. So as I go to insert a component, go all the way down to the sink, which I passed. Kitchen double. I can click this, spin it around. So again, the faucet is behind, and I can place this so that it is within this large cabinet, but the sink covers the sink hole. Okay, if you made the hole too big, you can adjust it by clicking Modify Tool and clicking this countertop. But what that does is this gives you the sink option here, as I scoot over, where the countertop is not interfering with the sink. As you can see, I have made the hole a little too large, so I can go back to floor plan. I can click on the countertop, and I can get these handles, and I can shrink that a little bit. As you can see, that just moved my edge, so I'm going to move that back. I'm going to move this one in a little bit too, and this one in a little bit as well, making sure I don't move it all the way into the bowls. But I am going to double check my ends and make sure that those didn't move, because I said occasionally they do. I don't want to forget this cabinet over here, because this guy's all by his lonesome and isn't part of this L shape. So as I go into component, I go into load family. It'll let me pick just straight old countertop. And as soon as I do that, I can drop this in the corner and use the adjustment tools to go ahead and adjust this countertop back to end right there. I now have my appliances, my base cabinets, and my countertops all in. It's time now to look at the upper cabinets. Again, when I go to component, I have a bunch of them loaded. I'm going to need to scroll down because upper starts with a U. They're way down at the bottom here. Again, I have a corner unit. I have double wall units and double door units and single door units. I'm going to start again with the corner. Now, wall cabinets are a little different. They have to be placed on a corner. Okay? And when you do that, if I zoom in, you can see that since I placed it on this wall, it actually puts the line in the middle of that bold line there. That's the way it's going to line it up, so make sure it matches on both sides. That way your cabinets will align as you choose them. Again, not knowing exactly how big of a cabinet I can fit here, I'm going to go ahead and measure. This gives me 2 foot 1 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and go to components, go to the upper cabinets, and get a 24-inch double. Again, I have to get on the wall. It appears like it's in the wall, but if you line the edge up, in this case for me, I'm on the wall and I'm lining the right edge up with my cabinet. When I click, it should put it in the right place. If this corner doesn't meet nice, I might need to shift this one some. I can also look at seeing, do I have room for this here? And in this case, I did. I'm going to go ahead and put it there. I am leaving room for my window because I do want to put a window in here, which I've already shown you how to do, so I'm not going to take time to do in this video, but the window will go here. I can also measure over here, knowing that I'll make the window about as wide as the cabinet, and see what size I want to put here. This one gives me a 3 foot 3 inch space, which when I go to component and go here, that would be a 39. So I can get a 39-inch wall cabinet and come here and go right there with it. And I remember that, so not wanting to have something over the stove, I know I put a 36-inch cabinet here. So I'm just going to go ahead and match that with a 36-inch upper cabinet right there. So that takes care of my upper cabinets. The last thing I want to do is I want to set up my dining area. To do that, I'm actually going to adjust my wall opening slightly. I'm going to open up the space a little bit by taking this stub wall back. And I'm actually going to close this one off a little bit because I'm going to set my table about in this location. You've seen components before, and this is really no different. I'm going to get a table that is round. And though a 48 would probably be best, I'm going to go ahead and use this 36-inch round dining table. I'm going to go ahead and set it in this corner here. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some chairs. So scrolling, because of course it's at the opposite end of the alphabet, scrolling all the way up, I'm going to find the chairs. Now, if I push my space bar now, chairs rotate at the 90 degrees. In this case, where the table is, I kind of almost want to put a chair more back in this corner and one opposite it, one here and one there to get 4 chairs around this smaller table in a fairly small space. But as you can see, as I push the space bar, it only rotates at 90 degrees. Now, if I find myself some sort of point, like the center of the table, like a midpoint, it starts rotating less degrees. It rotates at 45. So I can now rotate that at 45 and put this chair back in the corner. I'm going to go back to the midpoint that I found here, rotate this chair this way, and put it here. I'm ending up clicking on a dimension, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set it out there and come back and move it later. Going back to the midpoint, rotate. It will help you to line things up. My table's not quite lined up, so I can fix that later. And I'm going to rotate this around to be my last chair over here. To zoom in with modify, click the table, and on the edge, just like normal, I'm going to just kind of bump it out a little bit to kind of adjust it. I'm going to grab this chair, move this in to more line up with the other one, and be pushed under. And that'll give me a good enough eating area. Again, if this was my final project, I would probably do a little more with that. Okay? After putting the window in, which by the way, if you put the window in and it's too wide like mine is, I can always click on it and switch it to a narrower window so that I don't have it behind upper cabinets. Could even go narrower if I wanted to. But now when I look at my 3D view, I should be able to see my kitchen with my window in it, base cabinets, as well as all the different eating space, the preparation areas, my cabinets, my countertops. This is always a good thing to do, just to double check to make sure everything was in as you imagined it. Okay? Just so you're aware, this corner cabinet I used only has a door on it, which is why it looks a little different than the others. But otherwise, this should give you a completed kitchen.